Morning. So we're up to Shin Nun Hey Seif Base. Shin Nun Hey Seif Base. Yesterday, if you remember, last time we did about taking water and going from taking water from a river or a sea onto his balcony or from a boat. And basically, we were talking about you can't transfer from a Rosh Hashanah into a Karmelis midrabanon, but if you make a mechitza with sort of this board or with dalet tvachim, then you're going basically Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. So we're going to carry on that theme. Says the Mechaber in base hakisi shal pnei hamayim. If you've got a bathroom where you go, it's over some sort of river, that's where you would relieve yourself. Mutar lidei mechitza tzeluya. You're allowed to sort of set up a bathroom with a mechitza tzeluya, with some sort of mechitzas where you sit on top of this sort of construction, where you've got mechitzas suspended down, and then all the waste goes into the river or to the sea, and therefore you've created a Rosh Hashanah. So long as it was made lahatir. So the walls have got to be made to make a mechitza, not just for tznius, not just for tznius. And if you make a board where the waste will fall on it, then then you don't need mechitzas. To have a koicha b'karmelis, like we said yesterday, that koicha b'karmelis v'shari is allowed. Chazal will not go there koicha b'karmelis. V'adin in beis hakisi also kach shehitzoa hatzoya nofeles, and so too if the waste falls al tzidei hakoisel on the sides of the koisel v'achach miskalgeles v'nofeles l'matza b'karmelis, and then it goes and falls into the side of the karmelis. That would also be okay. V'im nishbar hadaf b'Shabbos, and if it breaks muta. Which even though that would mean, therefore, that your whole construction has gone and you haven't gone, the waste isn't going from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, but rather it's going into a Karmelis directly. Rosh Hashanah to Karmelis is an Issa Drabanon. Nevertheless, it's going to be okay. Mishum Gadol Kovet Habrius, because Kovet Habrius is Doiche Isur Drabanon, and this is a bathroom situation which would involve Kovet Habrius if you don't allow you to do it. Okay, let's do the Mishnah Berurah and Sif Cotton Chof Aleph. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Hainu she'somach leyamu lenaha, before a sea or a river. Alidei mechitza tzluya shegvei asar tefachim. It's a construction of 10 tefachim tool. Af she'ein magas l'mayim, even though it doesn't reach the water. So you're sitting on some sort of opening where the mechitzas are going down, and so therefore, you're going from a Rosh Hashanah into a Rosh Hashanah. That's where the waste is going down, even though it doesn't reach the water because of gurachis. Asuy lahatzir liponos sham b'Shabbos kagoyin sheyasen lematzah soviv letzat hamayim zemashin asis lemana l'tznius avida, because anything above is only done l'tznius. Daf ekone pachas mishleisha hainu sheheim pachas mishleisha somach lenekev tahavilovet v'avicherish sayachid to kush sayachid v'nei from sayachid. That's how the mechanics work. And that's why it's allowed. Even though it goes from there down the river, all the waste goes down the river, that's not a problem, because koicha the Karmelis legozra, this is essentially koicha, and therefore it's not a problem. Nishba hadaf, if the thing breaks, nishba b'Shabbos gufa she'i ef shlesakna, and therefore you can't fix it. And therefore you're allowed to go there, but you're allowed to relieve yourself there on Shabbos because of Gadol Koach Habrius. Okay, good. Weiter. Sif Gimel. So you've got a bathroom which sort of is just on the outside of the wall of the city. And the waste goes outside into an area which is more than Beis Hasayim, Shul Karmelis. There you cannot use this construction going from your Rosh Hashanah into it. This whole construction was only allowed a special dispensation over water. But if you do it over a daf, it will be okay, because again, the koich shari b'chol Karmelis, because the waste, the tire is going onto a board, and that's koich b'Karmelis, and therefore that would be okay. Let's do the Mishnah Berurah till there. Sif Cotton Chavav, She Karmelis, Rotzalema, Sha'af Sha'chafira Amuka Asorat Fachim, even though the ditch is bigger than 10 Tfachim, Kimshi Machzekes Yosim Beis Hasayim, Velo Yukafel Adira, Din Karmelis, it's got the din of a Karmelis, Nimsa Moitzi Mishayachid le Karmelis, and therefore it's not allowed. So you might want to have a suggestion that you can make these mechitzas tluyas, but that's not going to help you because Einam Muta Ela Be'inyan Shamachitzas Yagia the Karmelis is only going to help you with water. It's only and you need therefore the mechitzah to go all the way down to go from Rosh Yochid into Rosh Yochid. So it's got the din of a Rosh Yochid, not of a Karmelis. Aval Adei Daf. That would be okay because koicha b'karmelis lo gozru. Okay, now let's do the Ramah. The yesh omrim the im beis hakisei lemala me'asara. If the beis hakisei is higher than 10 tvachim, shari b'chol inyan. Why? Do moitzim shayachid lekarmelis derech mokum patur v'ayin le'el siman shin memvav the yesh cholkin. Okay, let's just do the Mishnah Berurah on that. Lemala me'asara. Mekarkois hachafir from the bottom of the ditch. V'atam da'avir lemal me'asara b'karmelis mokum p'tur. Because when you measure from there, 10 tefachim higher than 10 tefachim is mokum p'tur. V'nimtza kashu poine nifne when you relieve yourself, meitzim shayachid lekarmelis derech mokum p'tur, which will be okay. V'ayin le'el b'simen shin mem le'el simen shin mem vov. Ayin le'el simen shin mem vov. Hainu b'soif sif aleph the yesh oisim lahotzim shayachid lekamis afilu derech makom patur v'ayin b'beh hagrosh emarich b'zeh v'daitoi the afi nemesh the rishus drabonon derech makom patur muta hainu davka b'denoch when the waist comes to rest it sort of stays stationary be'emtza al makom patur avaloi b'denoi noch not when it doesn't rest when it flows away v'hachel b'deloi noch be'emtza and therefore here it's not staying stationary. The b'simen shin memvav v'chein b'chol makom v'kam mekomis v'chein b'sefer ma'im mordechai b'simen shin nun gimel sif aleph daitei gam kein das hagra v'toma al diyesh oimim ha'harishin. Okay, now back to the Ramah. I'm in the second line of the Ramah. V'yesh oimrim de'im hoya sham tzoya meboy jom. If there was already tzoya there from day one, then shari b'chol inyan. Why? The tzoya itself has now given it the status of a mokum patur. The lo darsi barabim, people are not going to step on it. V'ayin le'el simen shimem heid yesh chalkin usfir luhu the ein mokum patur b'karmelis. Okay, let's do the Mishnah Berurah till there. Lamed aleph tzoya meboy jom. You're relieving yourself directly on top of the tzoya that was there beforehand. Even though it sort of falls to the sides in a karmelis, shari hatzoya having mokum patur. The homistoma einach rechava arba. It's not big enough to be a rishayach. It's not a rechava 4. After alma kaimel under pochas mishleisha. But even though less than 3 we say is normally bottle to the rishus that it's in, we're not talking about tzor which is more than 3 tvachim. Nevertheless, shani hacha the tzor beis hakisei bevadai ledarsi l'rabim. People are not going to tread on it. V'alkein ein a bottle rishus shemetzidav having mokum patur, and therefore it has the status of a mokum patur, which would make it much easier. Okay, back to the Ramah. Where it says Lamed Gimel, Ulafimashon is boil el simen shin mem heid the ein mokum patur b'shayachid lekula alma beis hakisei ha'omed bein shnei batim. This is a new thing now. You've got a beis hakisei which is between 2 houses. Also lipones sham im lo avru yachad v'lo also lo tikum miboydiom. You don't make a construction miboydiom. Commission is boy b'seif base. The oz shari the lo have ele kamechotz she'enu moreves because the kamen shin and zayin v'ayin lekamen simen shin ayin vav seif dalet. Okay, let's see the Mishnah Berurah on that. Lamed Gimel. Ulafima kan maschel harmah levar dinachet. Now the Ramah is talking about a different halacha. Oidus beis hakisei regarding a bathroom, where you're talking about a ditch which is between the houses of 2 people, and they didn't make an erev. You haven't got now, therefore, the heta that the tzor is a mokum patur, because this is a rish hayachid. Ein mokum patur b'shayachid. There's no such thing as a mokum patur in a rish hayachid. Also liponet b'sham, and therefore to relieve yourself in this little area between the 2 houses, which is a rish hayachid, you would not be able to do Mairi shemokum Moshe beis hakisei shaykh l'kol echad levadai, because each one has access to it. אלא שהחפירה שתחתיה היה שייך לשניהם, ולקח also, to moitzi mishusai, לקרקע שותפים. You're going from your rishus to jointly own property, a different rishus. Dimkein mokum meishav shaykh lahashutfim, because it belongs to both. Ein kan lesah mishus l'rishus mutar, because if it was just yours, then it'd be okay. Commotion is by a sif base. V'hainu tikkun dadaf. You do that. Avol tikkun the mechitza tluya ein moyel hacha ad sheredis lamata. But here you can't have a mechitza tluya. You got with gudachis. The mechitza's got to go all the way to the ground. Because the lakam is shinun zayin sif gimel bahagod the shamavu the bechotz she'ein mureves lukula alma mutar koiche. If it's not murev, we allow koiche, as we've discussed. Okay, let's go back to the Ramah. V'chol zeh, I'm in the penultimate line, two lines from the end of the Ramah. V'chol zeh dafke lechatchila. All of this is lechatchila. Av b'di'evet, sheshakchu v'lo irvu, mutar de gadol kavod habrius. Says the Mishnah Berurah Lamed Zayin, sheshakchu v'lo irvu. Ay shelo hayolo be'ef shelasos tikkun hanizka. You couldn't make this tikkun. The gadol kavod habrius, and this is the important rule, she'tiru chachomim b'she'ein le'isbe issa deraisa. Kavod habrius is so great that it can knock away a derabonon. Not a deraisa, but a derabonon. And lastly, the Ramah finishes off and says, "Holche sfinos na'agulas esorchem min ha'mashayt layam." The people on boats, they relieve themselves from the sort of the side of the ship liyam into the sea. The ha'el v'mashayt ein gvei asor afal pisha rechov arba ein el Karmelis u'moitzim Karmelis l'Karmelis. And you're going from the Karmelis, which is this Moshata, this sort of ore or whatever it is, into another Karmelis, which is the Yam, and therefore Karmelis would be okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Lamates, Avul min asfina liyam, but directly from the Sfina to the sea, but loy tikkun haniska b'sifeis, without making the tikkun that we mentioned previously, loy, that would not be good. The hamoitzi min ha'rishayochid liyam shlu Karmelis, and we don't allow rishayochid into a Karmelis. Ve'im yev shlo mipnei einos eza sippa, but if it's not possible for whatever reason, elim kein yaset zorach b'sfina, and therefore means you're going to have to relieve yourself in the boat, which is of course not very pleasant. Mutter, the God will cover Abrius, because God covered Abrius. Okay, Peseda, so it was a bit rushed, but essentially what we're saying is that you can't go from Rishayochid to a Karmelis. You can make, in the sea situation, you can make a Mechitza Tzeluya, which is the special dispensations given that you've got this good achis, and therefore you can relieve yourself and draw water and all the rest of it. But that doesn't apply in non-situations. The situation doesn't involve the sea. But when the push comes to shove, if you can't do the construction, then you are allowed to do it, because God will cover the Abrius, which is Doiche and Issa Drabonim, which it is over here, Yochit or Karmelis. Okay.